All right, welcome to the Please Remain Calm podcast. I just said please remain palm. This is a podcast about hands, not fingers,
Palm Sunday
hands. Yes,
passed.
and Palm Sunday and palm trees, palm bee. Please remain calm podcast. My name is Ben Gonzales. I'm a licensed paramedic / working comedian. Over there is my brother in real life.
I'm Danny Gonzales. I'm a licensed paramedic as well for the past 20 years, LA City Fire, also an actor.
All right, and he knows how to say the podcast. Believe me, for some reason, we trust me and my linguistic skills to start every show. You know what I mean? And I'm just proving us wrong.
It's that radio voice.
Right off the bat. I think I made 5 mistakes already. We're literally 40 seconds in, you guys. It's a mistake every 8 seconds. All right. Over there, our producer, Nolan Culver, comedian, producer, podcast studio owner, and board certified urologist.
Nobody knows that.
15
Not
years,
many
yeah.
people know that.
Handle all
Shout
your
out
penis
to
emergencies.
Third Wheel Podcast Studio.
And just as a side note, though, urology, people don't consider emergency urology. They come through, bro, and come not being a pun
Yeah,
here.
no. I get it.
There are dick emergencies, ball emergencies like you would not believe in the ER, dude.
It's funny you
know
bring
what
up
I'm
urology. She's probably going to get mad that I'm talking about this, but, Bernadette, my wife,
Right.
just graduated USC with her master's in physician assistant studies. And so she was looking for, she had a giant job lined up pretty much at Cedars-Sinai. And this whole pandemic thing hit, you know what I mean? The hospitals were hit kind of hard, like money-wise. And so they froze hiring. And so she was looking for a job. And what's the first job that it looks like she's going to have? A urology office.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, dude. 10 years.
Of all
10
the
years I've been
specialties.
supporting her through school. We're working toward this goal together. I mean, she's really nailing it, gets her master's. And she's just dealing with
Day
dicks
after
all
day.
day long.
Day
That's
after
the
day.
job you're going to
Dick
have.
after dick after
But I
dick.
just had to just swallow it, it's her dream.
Yo, they
So-
are really doing the Lord's work. Though, like, we'll do a urology emergency episode later when some brave soul wants to be a guest to share his penis emergency. But they happen, dude. And like, not every hospital has urologists.
Yeah.
So like, they'll have to
It's
call
a
us.
specialty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, it's time sensitive, like for reals. And I've done like so many of them now, like where, like I've personally probably been in on saving like over like 20 dicks and balls, dude.
Yeah,
like,
hey.
easy, dude. And they don't
You're
even
doing the
know.
Lord's
I'm like
work.
they're like secret angel that saved their dick.
I was
You know what I mean?
she was going to do like a pros and cons list of working there. I was just like waiting to see where she put dicks, like dicks all day, if it was like a pro
Or
con.
if it was a pro or a con.
Yeah, it's
which
like,
which
where
side it was on.
the
Yeah.
fuck are you going to put this? Where are you
Yeah.
going to put this?
And then how far on the list it was on. And
Yeah,
how far on
dude.
either side.
But yeah, shout out to Bernie. We
Yeah.
kind of gave her a shout out before,
Yeah.
but
And I just teased our urology episode later. So
what
that'll
else?
be
Oh,
cool.
it was Mom's
Let's see, Mark.
birthday this past weekend. Happy birthday, Mom!
Yeah, that's
61.
right. And we were going to talk about a thing that kind of originates with her, because we talk every episode, this podcast, we talk about 911 emergencies. We have guests on that were involved in an emergency somehow. We break down what the emergency is. But also another part of it is us, being brothers and working as paramedics, firefighters, entertainers as
Yeah.
well. And we don't really talk about any entertainment shit. You know what I mean?
Haven't yet. Yeah.
Haven't yet. So we could go back to that a little bit and talk about how Daniel, the actor here, started acting. And that actually starts back with our mom.
Yeah.
Our mom wanted to be an actress, like big time. I think she was an extra. I don't think she had like speaking roles in anything ever.
Yeah,
right?
but like back then too, there was like it was like Mickey Mouse Club was like a thing. Like you could be in these clubs where, or, you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
it'd be like an ensemble show.
But she wasn't in those.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, she
you know
was
what I
on
mean? It was like
shows.
little like ensembles
Yeah.
where it'd be like a group of kids. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was things like that.
Yeah, so
that
different
she
like
got parts in.
sitcoms and shit. I don't think it was like Brady Bunch, but like shit like that, like Family Affair.
Yeah,
you
Leaves
know,
Beaver or something like that.
And she'd be one of the kids playing with the kids in the class. So she had this thing in her head to be like a child actress that would have been dope. And then she married my dad, because my mom had us when she was 19 and 20.
yeah.
So she still was hanging
shattered
on to
her dreams.
Yeah, right. So she's like hanging on to her dreams, as a teenager, that she could have been an actress, she could have been someone. It's like like your dad is the one who like pushes his dreams through you. Like
Yeah.
our dad was like the president of our little league and shit, so he did that shit too. But our mom did it first, I guess,
Yeah.
because I was young. I think I was like 4 or 5, and my mom hit me up to go on an audition. I didn't know what an audition was like at all. And I remember what it was for. It was for Mazola, for the fucking corn oil, the
Yeah, no shit.
cooking oil. And I was supposed to eat something and say, oh, Mazola makes it so good. And I remember thinking, and I was like 5 or 4, and thinking like, this is bullshit. Like, I would never
I don't even
bite
like this shit,
something
yeah.
and think it was because of Mazola that made it good. Like, I don't care about Mazola at all. You had to remind me what Mazola was. You know what I mean? And like, I would never go for this. So in my head, it was like lying, and I didn't want to do the audition. And then my mom was like, he's not going to go for this shit.
Yeah.
Like, he's the wrong one. But
and then
she
it's
found
funny,
a huckleberry over here.
It's funny how, like, I don't know, maybe it's just like inside you because when she brought it up to me, I was like, fuck yeah, hell yeah. On TV, I'm going to be on TV? Hell yeah. Like, I was pumped on it. Yeah. And it's funny because we were talking about it before. Like, it's funny how, like, the littlest things when you're little can have, like, a big impact on your life. You know what I mean? Like, I talk about it with my kids, too. We had some friends over who have little ones, and we're talking about, like, raising our kids and stuff like that. And it's like, the littlest stupid, like, insignificant things, like a couple little things that, like, Dad said to me at some point about something stuck in my head and, like, had big impacts on, like, the way I did things. You know what I mean? But to him, it was, like, insignificant.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we were talking about how, like, when we were little, we used to do these. We used to do these, like, lip syncing concerts. Like, my grandfather was a newscaster, right? So every year at Christmas, he'd have these huge Christmas parties, right, with, like, television personalities, like news personalities.
Yeah, our grandfather used to be on the news. Like, he used to be the. We got a guest off camera that we keep talking to that we're gonna bring on and introduce pretty soon. So if you're like, who the fuck are they talking to? Like, because they're like, they never talked to Nolan.
I was wondering. I was like, chime in.
But our grandfather used to be the anchorman for KMEX, like Channel 30, Univision, and like CBS and stuff.
So he had these like news personality people that were his friends. They'd come to this Christmas party, and it was like a '80s, like a mid '80s fucking popping.
And other
like
party, LA
dude.
Latino celebrities like Fernando Valenzuela.
Yeah, dude, fucking Paul Rodriguez,
Edward James Olmos,
Edward James Olmos and stuff like that. Like people, these were like normal people that we saw around my grandparents' house, right? Okay, so Ben's Ben's probably like 7, I'm 5, right? And our cousins Anthony and Chris, shout out. They're in Arizona. We were like our group of cousins.
Yeah, 8 and 10.
So they'd be having this fucking party. Full-blown house party. People dressed up, sweating, drinking.
Drunk. Yeah.
And in the middle of the party, they would stop all the music, and the 4 of us would come down in the middle of the party and do like a 4-song Huey Lewis and the News set, right?
Full lip on, putting on the hits.
Lip syncing. Like baseball bat, saxophone, but full commitment.
An easy 15 minutes.
Easy 15 minutes, dude. Easy 4 songs. But it was still Huey Lewis and the News. In the mid-'80s, right? So the party was still popping. People were screaming, and we're up there freaking...
Yeah.
A full 4. So you think back to things like that.
And it was like kind of late too. Like why were we even up?
Dude,
it was probably like 10:30.
Because we've been partying
by then
since 1985.
And that was probably like, and our parents were like, all right, go do that shit. Yeah.
So
awesome.
but it makes it but it's like when I think back like to my mom bringing up, hey, you want to be on TV? It was like it was almost like that experience of doing that, like, I don't know, 2-3 years in a row, and just like losing that fear of it. You know what I mean? Kind of puts that in you, like, oh, that's not that fucking scary. Yeah. That kind of like goes to anything you really try. Yeah, you know what I mean? Anything new you try is fucking scary. Like starting this podcast. I was nervous as hell when we started this podcast.
An old pro.
But you take that first step, you know what I mean? And
so let's talk about that first step. So you agree
to
act.
So we go to what was it? Faces International?
Faces International. So they had this it was this company that was like, I don't know, but it was like a catalog, I guess. But
bro. What? It was like a catalog.
It was like to get like kids' headshots, and then it was the premise was that like agents and casting directors would look through this catalog and pick out headshots.
I mean, you got to keep in mind there was no internet back then either. You know what I mean?
This is 1986.
It was like, how are you going to get representation? This was one of the ways. It was like a showcase for new faces.
Right.
Faces International.
So they'd have like kind of like these cattle call things where they'd have aspiring stage moms, I guess, bring in their kids. You think your kid's cute? Bring his ass over to Faces International, and they come and like I don't remember if they took our pictures. Did they take like Polaroids or something? I remember taking my shirt off.
Whoa! No. On the Lolita Express.
Right? Yeah. There was a Jeffrey Epstein. So
I don't remember the initial one, but I remember taking legit like headshots.
You got headshots after, but the first one, I think they just talked to us about acting. But then what they did is they put us all in this room, and they want to like pitch us on the idea of how cool it is to be a child actor, right? So they hit us with fucking real life testimony, and they bring in a celebrity guest, and this celebrity guest is fucking Corey Feldman.
Whoa!
Corey Feldman walks in.
What? That's who you want to know.
He is rocking a full-on Michael Jackson sequins Captain Crunch outfit with the Michael Jackson sunglasses, a fucking glove, all that shit, and he sits up there cool as fuck telling us how rad it is to be an actor.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah.
And we're buying it all because we fucking will
Like,
watch
that's
like
one of
Lost
the Coreys.
Boys.
Of course.
Yeah, fucking Goonies. Like, we were like, whoa, like if he's say that, he was a license to drive. You know?
Yeah, man.
Like,
So
we're
we
all-
do
we're all the fuck
faces,
in, yeah.
right? Well, I did it. You didn't do it, right?
Yeah, he didn't convince me.
Yeah, he wasn't convinced.
Yeah.
He's like, Corey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm
I
not
was
ready
like,
for this.
But I appreciate the push. Yeah, I appreciate
But
it.
yeah, I was in this man. Took my first headshots, which was literally fucking like me in full football uniform, you know, like this, and then like me with the cowboy hat that was half size too small,
Oh, man.
and a scarf, you
so
know,
many looks.
like the
So many hot
OG
looks.
little kid headshots. And then I got an agent, and then
Didn't
started
you have
going.
one like with a skateboard?
Dude, I had so many. It was
still have them?
Like every
looks.
single thing.
My mom probably has them. Yeah.
Like a
I know.
baseball
Yeah.
uniform.
Like
yeah.
a biker, I had like my jean jacket over
Yeah,
with my flat top
yeah,
because it
dude,
was
that's
1985.
right, dude.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, man. So and then worked, did a bunch of stuff when I was a kid, man. And
I
then
know, it's funny when you think about it now.
and it's kind of funny too, man. Like my first job ever. All right, my first job is little side story. My first job ever was a TV movie with Roseanne Barr and Tom Arnold called Backfield Emotion.
And
okay?
Johnny Galecki.
It was on ABC, and it was like a group. Johnny Galecki is Roseanne's like son, and their dad wasn't around.
The fat kid from the Wonder Years, right?
Yeah.
That was his homie on the Wonder Years.
Yeah. Their dad wasn't
Yeah.
around, or his dad wasn't around, and so he has this group of friends, and they have a father-son football game.
Okay.
But he doesn't have a dad, so Roseanne makes it a mother-son football game. That's the
Okay.
premise, right?
Okay.
But I'm bummed. Right? The jokes.
So it's a comedy.
Yeah, it's
Like
a
a
comedy.
Powerpuff
You can't
game.
stop the jokes
That
with
was
the
a
premise
drama. I'm
like
like,
that,
oh,
right?
whoa.
Yeah.
So I'm in this group of friends, right? It's my first job ever.
Was this a daytime movie or was it a primetime movie? I don't remember.
Primetime,
now.
bro.
It was a primetime
Yeah, it was
movie?
ABC primetime.
Like, bitch, it was prime-
Yeah,
This is
primetime.
TGIF.
My first job ever. I was the token Mexican kid. So, dude,
Wait, but were you even a Mexican kid though, for reals? In
I don't know, I
I
mean-
think your name was white, wasn't
no,
it?
my name was Derek, and my mom in the show was El Guapo's girlfriend from Three Amigos.
That's right,
Yeah.
dude. I remember that.
But I remember it blowing my mind. I was like, "What?
What was her name again? Like Mercedes?
Oh my god,
something?
dude! Damn, you put him on the spot. I don't remember. I don't remember her
I know,
name.
right? But that's
she
right,
was.
yeah.
She was. You know what for players?
Yeah.
Good. Neither does El Guapo. That was her. Dude.
That was her.
Yeah, that was my mom.
Right. Dude.
So
Whoa.
another one of the moms on that movie was Conchata Ferrell, who is the maid on Two and a Half Men.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
been in everything. I mean,
Yeah.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler movies, yeah.
So cut to, whatever it is, 25 years later.
Oh
I
yeah,
do
and
an ep-
also one of the other dads was Michael Panuski, the cop
Yeah.
from House Party.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
No, he was
looked
a coach.
suspicious.
He was a coach.
Definitely looked black.
He was a coach.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. He was a coach. Yeah, he's a football coach.
Cut to
Yeah.
30 years later, I do an episode of Two and a Half Men.
Uh-huh.
And I go to Conchata, I'm like, you're not going to believe this, but I actually worked with you before. Pull out the picture
Yeah.
from the set. And she's like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
That's
so on my
funny.
Instagram, I got a side-by-side with me at 10 years old with her.
Oh, that's cool.
And then cut to my last big part that I had was a guest starred on an episode of NCIS.
Okay.
Right. And Mark Harmon, it's a great guest star role. I'm like the main protagonist in the episode and everything. One of the biggest parts I've had, top of show. And I'm working there. It's like 8 days of work, working with all these people. And this one guy I keep chatting with and stuff like that. And he kind of looks familiar, but I'm just figuring I've seen him on some
Yeah.
stuff. And I didn't really watch the show, so I didn't know like who he was or anything, right?
yeah.
So the like second to last day, I'm like, dude, how old are you? And he tells me his age. And then it all fucking dawned on me, dude. He was one of the other kids in that group of kids
All right.
on Sean Murray, right?
Yeah.
He was one of the group of kids. I'm like, dude, I know where I know you from.
Yeah.
And then, fucking,
Yeah.
it's just,
Small world.
it's just
Field in
funny.
motion.
And that's how it
Yeah.
is, though. Hollywood is a small fucking world, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just like comedy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You get on a set, and then next thing you know, you're working on something else, and the guy that was like an AD over here is, a second AD over here is a first AD over here, and
Yeah,
the
you
guy
you never know.
you never know
Yeah.
who's gonna
Yeah.
work on what. So, but yeah, man, worked a bunch when I was a kid, and
Yeah,
then
that's funny
finished
though.
off-
So you'll be on shows that you have not watched.
Oh yeah, dude, hell yeah, I'll take it though.
This is the number one show in America. Beats the shit out of me.
I'll watch like a few episodes to
Could
get
fucking fool me.
the feel for it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
before I go audition or something like
Yeah.
that. But there's a lot of TV out there, dude.
Yeah,
Especially now.
no shit, dude.
There's a shit ton of TV out there.
Yeah.
But
outlets.
but yeah, man, mom got me into it, and then I got on that show with I was on a right before I stopped acting, I was on the show with Jennifer Lopez for a couple of years.
Oh.
Played her little brother, which my mom and grandma never let me forget.
It's funny, too,
know,
because like
Yeah.
that show got canceled like quick, but then it had a spinoff, and the spinoff got picked up. So like a show that gets canceled like before the first season. Did it even have a whole season?
It had a whole season.
It had a whole
yeah.
season.
Like it was on Netflix,
Yeah.
so it had enough of a season
Okay.
to put on.
It's
Netflix.
on Netflix?
Yeah.
Are you
Second
serious?
Chances?
Second
Hell
Chances
yeah.
is? That's fucking funny.
Connie
You can
Selico.
find
It sounds
Second
familiar.
Chances. It was Connie Selico was the chick from, there used to be the show called Hotel, and it was like a nighttime soap opera on, I think it was on ABC or CBS or some shit.
I don't remember.
In the 80s. So Connie Selico was like the star of that, and then she had like, they tried to like, I guess like reboot the same shit, because this shit was also about a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hotel Malibu.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the
That was a
spinoff
spinoff.
of
They did a
Second
spinoff
Chances. Yeah.
with our family.
Yeah.
Because we won like a Mexican image
His
award.
dad
Oh,
was
Hispanic, Latino
Pepe
image
Serna from American Me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I know, it was fucking funny. man.
Pepe, it blew my mind when I found out Pepe was like the one that got chainsawed.
Yeah.
in,
Yeah, that's right. And then Scarface, yeah, that's
it's
right.
just like, whoa,
Yeah.
man.
Oh shit.
But he's cool, yeah, and that's a cool thing too, man, about acting. And I'm sure it's the same with coming up with comedy too. Is like, the more people you work with, the more actors you work with, like you take a little bit from each one. Like Pepe had some good conversations with him. I'm 12 years old, 13 years old, talking to me about acting and how simplicity and like less is more with acting. The more if you're distracted but still saying your lines and you know what I mean, but focusing over here and seems more now, shit like that. You know, you like pick up different things from different actors.
Yeah.
You know, Jennifer had to work like, it seemed like she just like worked. You know, she was always on set. Like, oh damn, she's got fucking work ethic. Okay. You know what I mean? You get that from different people.
Yeah.
You know, I did that NCIS and I had this like big emotional scene at the end with my daughter, meet my daughter for the first time in a long
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And we're doing the wide shot and I come in and I'm supposed to be this tear, and so boom, tear. I'm thinking to myself like, boom, I just killed this. You know, cut. I'm like, you know, looking around. Is anyone clapping? No, okay. And then Mark Harmon comes up to me and he goes, comes real close. He goes, save the emotion for the close up. I'm like, oh, okay. And then we did like a couple more, and where I brought it, you know, and then I couldn't bring it anymore, and we wound up doing like 30 takes because there was different close-ups to do of everyone. By the time it got to me, it was just, so it's like you pick those little things up, you know, those little things up from different people.
Mark Harmon, Shoop.
Yeah, man, shoop.
Yeah, in summer school.
But
All right, so we have heard Mark talking the whole time. Might as well introduce him, and we'll talk some more, and then we'll get into his story because he's our guest today. Our guest today is a comedian, podcast host. You also an actor? I always forget people.
I
extra
try.
shit.
Yeah, that doesn't make me
Auditions for
stop.
shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
He'd be in some shit if you put him in some shit. Hollywood.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Come on,
Stop
people.
the racism. All right. Mark Gonzales is our guest today. Welcome, Mark.
What's happening, man?
Thanks
What's
for
happening, fellas?
Thanks for coming, man. Mark Gonzales with
you.
an S.
with an
I
S.
believe
How dare
that-
you, sir?
I know.
I believe that makes him French.
Yeah.
Are you nobility? Are you viceroy?
I don't know.
Viceroyalty?
I speak Sherman Oaks. I think that's what that
All
means.
right.
It lets them know, hey,
It's,
he's safe.
If you
That
don't
might
know,
save your life one day.
both of our last names are Gonzales with a Z. So it means there's 3 Gonzaleses in the room.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're with the Z. It's a big controversy between those with the Z, those with an S, those with the S. I'm just gonna say
Goes back
they're
centuries.
white. They're generally white.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, they're
The
from
S-
France, Germany, it could
Spain.
be, it could
Is
be
it Spain?
Portuguese. It could
I don't know
be
what it is.
Any kind of diaspora, Nazis. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't want to talk about
Whoa.
Mark's family, what they were doing in the past. You know what I'm saying? What that S represents.
I do. I have a little Native American on my dad's side as well too. So
right,
I'm all over the place.
Hey,
there you
I'm
go.
Sorry.
We forgive you then.
Okay.
Stop. Hey, you're not allowed to talk anymore.
Right on. Maybe this will be the only other time we have a Gonzales too. Like I could have been nicer. You
It's-
never know.
Yeah. Took
If I can critique
habitual
myself
you line
1 minute
step.
in to this segment,
You line step.
Yeah,
right?
It's like Hollywood. There's
Yeah.
there's only room for one Mexican.
yeah. But this dude is also a comic brother, so we know where we stand.
So how are you doing with like all the comedy shut down right now?
Man,
Sucks.
a lot of writing, which hasn't really changed. I've always written a lot, but it's more of just I can actually just focus on it instead of like because when before all this you write a little bit and then you
Right.
go perform it and then you
Exactly.
kind of work on that and then you just kind of keep creating new stuff. So now I'm like able to kind of like collect all the new stuff that I got and then kind of just see slowly what I can work on before it hits the stage. I don't even know when we can go on stage
Yeah,
again.
man.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows when?
And then you can run into a problem too with having all this new stuff. Because the thing when you write new stuff is it's hot to you
Yeah.
in your head. And then when you actually go do it I'm going to speak for me, but like 85% of it just goes to the trash, dude.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you
Yeah.
do it, like, all right, that shit doesn't work.
Yeah,
That shit's whack.
I try to find or try to turn my premises into something that's going to be timeless. So it's just going to last a lot longer. You know, if it's the thing about the presidential election, I try to like change it to how about like presidencies altogether, like just that would be it. So that's why I kind of so that way it can have a longer shelf life.
Yeah, you give like a higher bar to yourself to give yourself better jokes. You know what I mean? So when you're writing at first, things always seem hot, but you gotta fucking do them to know if they're gonna work.
Yeah.
You know what I
If
mean?
they're funny.
So this problem you could have now with not being able to perform is like having just all this shit to go through now when you do get to perform. And then just being disappointed that a bunch of it doesn't work.
Let me
you
ask,
thought it would, you know?
No, I have like a 3 kind of like a 3 strikes you're out deal with my material. Do you have something like that where you try it 3 times and
it depends on how much I like it. Like I'm weird with it, dude, because if I really like something and it keeps eating shit, but I still think it's good, I'm still gonna stick with it and keep waiting for the audience to like spring it on for this shit to work. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, I knew this shit was gonna work. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like once it does, right?
Yeah, like
but other things, there's sometimes where people will laugh at it and it hits, and I'm like, this joke kind of sucks, though. I don't want to do this joke. You know what I mean? Or like I know like other comedians are gonna not. I think it's a cheap joke.
Yeah,
because there's some jokes that like they'll kill with audiences, but every other comic hears that joke, they know this is a whack joke.
Or even like
know what I mean?
I've had what was that bar? I was in Koreatown off of Beverly
Karma
Lounge.
Yeah.
I know you were there a lot. That
sure.
place always hit with new material, and I always felt because it was mostly a room full of comics. But you do that at, I don't know, was it the Temple Bar, the Tribal Cafe? Eats a dick. Eats a dick.
Well, Tribal Cafe, like everything could eat a dick. Because there's some venues in LA, like everybody will do them because you got to get time, you got to work out your stuff, right? So they'd have like a mic there every day, but there's a fucking juice bar too. Yeah. So like you'd be doing
People
your
just come
set
to get their
and they'll be making
water.
smoothies and shit while you're doing your set. So you're like, hey, so what do you guys think about?
Stacy, your acai bowl's ready.
And you're like, all right, that was 3 minutes. Thank you.
You got to work that into your material somehow.
Bro.
Well, yeah, that's how I've been getting by. Just trying to write new stuff. I've been trying to do a Zoom show like with Ryan Talmos, but timing hasn't been kind to me. So with that, but that's it. Just been writing a lot and dreaming of when we could go on stage again.
See, and it's rough too because you podcast, but then your podcast is about sports. There's no fucking
And there's
sports.
no sports.
So
There's
like,
no sports.
yeah.
So it's kind of like, so we try to find like other things. That's why like it's it's Fair LA up in the rafters. So I'm like, okay, under the LA umbrella. So we'll talk about local LA stuff. If it's related to the city of LA. So we're getting by. But it's
shout out his podcast Fear LA. Download it where podcasts are sold. I've personally kind of enjoyed some of the content on ESPN now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Last Dance is killing it, but everything they're doing now that there's nothing to report on, they have all these like rad stories of like
You mean like the cornhole championships?
Yeah. No, like they got to dig into all these stories of like baseball in the 80s or something. Like they had a story that was like all these crazy seasons that could never happen now. Yeah. And they're talking about like Dwight Gooden throwing like 330 innings. You know what I mean? When he was like 19, like doing coke between every inning and shit. You know what I mean? He had 295 strikeouts or something. He has something like 12 strikeouts per 9 innings or some shit, like for a season, dude. Fucking Dwight Gooden. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, yeah, dude, like shit like that. Like Vince Coleman, or no, it was Ricky Henderson had like 130 steals. That one year, like, no, he's not fucking 100. You know what I mean? The 5 top stolen base leaders together might have 130 steals combined in a season. You know what I'm saying? But like that shit's never happening again.
I'm with you with except with the Lakers. I know I'm a big Laker fan. So watching those old school games, from the 80s to even to the 2000s, I've been enjoying that when it comes to.
You're waiting for the Kobe Last Dance now?
Oh man,
right?
that's
it's got to happen now.
Absolutely happy. I know they started recording when he first came back. Well, I know they were doing that with the Muse movie that he put out, but I guess he did record his very last season, which was that was a storybook ending. I was at his last game.
No shit.
Oh yeah, I was there. We bought
Mark's
the tickets.
a big ass Lakers fan.
Yeah, we bought the tickets. This is a crazy story. We bought the tickets in November. September, and then he announces it in November. And then it dawned on us that we bought tickets already. Oh. And we got them for like $116.
Damn.
And then by the time of the game day started, they're up for almost like $4,000.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
we're premier seats.
And you weren't selling shit.
Hell no. Hell no.
Dude.
And I would have, and I did.
You're like, I was getting evicted. My car got repoed. I went to that shit.
We thought about it. I go, nah. I was making good money at the time. I was like, nah, it's just like a paycheck for me. Like I don't need that. But after it, I'm like, yo, I would have regretted it so hard because that was a moment where I'm like, I will never forget that.
Yeah.
He dropped 60, right?
60 on his last day on the job,
Hell
and he
yeah.
started so bad.
Insane.
He started so bad. I'm like, damn.
That's one of those deathbed ones. You would have been like, I
Oh
could have.
yeah, that's
Why?
right. He started slow,
so cold.
and then he
Yeah.
started cooking.
Yeah,
that's right. Dude,
Middle,
I forgot about
like
that.
last couple minutes of the first quarter is when he finally started. Like, oh, he found a shot finally.
Dude, he
And then
could have had 80.
He could have. He
That's
says he
fucking
could have.
crazy, dude.
He says he almost could have. He goes, if you counted all my shots that I missed, because he was shooting a lot. He was jacking a lot of shots in that first quarter, and he said that if he hit most of them, yeah, he could have got 80. I'm like,
Insane, man.
the goat.
Insane. Well,
Greatest.
let's get to what we were going to talk about today. And the emergency or type of call we're talking about today is what's known in LA County as a 814. And that is when you arrive on someone whose time has already passed. And there's not anything you can do, and you call the person dead on scene. And it's pretty common.
It's a pretty common thing. I mean, if I work 10 shifts in a month, I make it like 2 814s. You know, it could be anything, man. Usually it's like an old person, like
Right.
the neighbors haven't seen him in a couple of
Yeah.
days. They call the cops, come do like a welfare check or something like that, and then they find him in there. But we were talking before this about for me at least, like I've been doing it a long time. There's some things that creep me out to this day. One of the things that creep me out to this day is welfare checks.
Yeah.
Because there is something, and you're talking to a guy who I can't even tell you how many people I've pronounced dead or
Right.
worked on that didn't make it.
Yeah, right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Or just shit that I've seen when you see shooting, stabbing, and stuff
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
already
All this
gone, yeah.
terrible shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Going to somebody's house and having to find a window and get the screen off and open the window and you yell, Miss Taylor, hello, it's fire department. You in here? No, fuck. Okay, and then you got to climb through the window. Now you're just walking through somebody's house,
Yeah.
all dark,
And you don't know what
you know
it
what I mean.
is.
You don't know
Yeah,
what's
you
in
know what's
there.
going
Yeah.
on.
If it's
Yeah.
nighttime, you got a flashlight, and you're just like, in your head, like it'll say on the screen before you get there. Neighbors haven't seen patient in 2 weeks. 85-year-old female, male piling up and it's just like
Yeah.
shit. I
You
know
can
what the
smell
fuck
the
I'm
smell
gonna find.
sometimes.
Ooh.
And
Yeah,
then
wait,
and then you get in the house and you can smell it. And you're like, fuck, man. You're walking through and just finding somebody.
Yeah.
It's freaky, dude.
You're looking for somebody's dead.
It freaks you out. It's a shitty feeling when it's somebody you don't know. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of the situation that we're going to talk about. I mean, we might as well say what the situation is. On October 6th, 2017, you were on tour with comedian Ralphie May.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? Who's a famous comedian, well known in across the country. It was actually on a tour when this was going down, right?
Yeah, it was a residency in Vegas at the Harrah's Casino. We're working that weekend.
And you were opening for him. You were his feature.
Yeah, that, and I was helping him get around Vegas. We were gonna hit the road that weekend. Actually, we were gonna go to Nashville, and then we had a whole mapped. Like we had it all planned out. Pretty much like the future. And that was the plan, but it didn't work out that way.
Now, how did you know Ralphie? You guys were buddies from before?
Yeah, we knew each other about 4 or 5 years before then. I toured. I usually go on the road with Corey and Chad, the Smash Brothers. They're the other guys I go on the road with, and that's how I met Ralphie through them. So every time they're on the road, or local, or around California or Arizona, I always met up with them, hung out, partied, got to know them a lot, and then years later, and then that earlier that year, in 17, he invited me to go on tour with him. I was like, cool, let's do this. That was the plan.
Oh, so it was the first tour he brought you out on with
Yeah.
just you?
Yeah,
without
yeah,
Corey
it
and
was
Chad?
exactly. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Oh,
it was
shit.
my turn. As he said, he goes, "It's your turn." I was like, "All right."
Man.
I was like, "So here we go."
Yeah, and for a comic, that's a big thing, dude. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like to have a big, especially as a headliner of the level of Ralphie, to take you out for a tour or for a year or whatever it is, it's big. It's a big deal for you because not only you get more exposure, but you're doing like a half hour or so, like every night in front of him, in front of a really good crowd, and that time is like gold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get to do that multiple nights a week. in
For
front of a
for
good
building
audience,
yourself as a comic
and
comic,
getting
I
your
mean,
time down,
Yeah.
and like getting your own headlining set down pat.
Sure,
You know?
man.
That's what that does for you, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, he does theaters. He was doing theaters. We were supposed to do casinos and theaters on that run. And yeah, like I said, that was gonna be the plan. And yeah, and so I don't know, do you want me to get into the actual?
Yeah, we might as well. Right?
Yeah. So, well, how early on to it were you guys here? So,
So-
you said he had a residency at Harrah's?
Yeah, so he had a residency in Harrah's. He had it from he just signed a 2-year extension. So we were in town. I drove in that Thursday. We hung out Thursday because he was sick before then, but he just got over it. He was feeling much better. His energy was back. It was that Thursday, and then because I found him that Friday morning, at least off the top. I'm thinking. I remember he did a show. It was right after that Vegas shooting that happened too. It was that same week.
It was the same week?
Yeah,
Oh,
right
shit.
after that.
Right.
That's crazy.
Because that's what Ralphie was talking about on stage, and he goes, "This is where we get, this is where we get paid to do, this is where we work.
Yeah.
Is making tragedy, making light, not necessarily light,
Making people laugh again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and that's one of the things that I looked at this scenario too, because when this happened with Ralph, everyone of course was reaching out to me and I had friends like, you need therapy. I'm like, no, I need to write this into a bit. Like this is that's my therapy. It's
Hey,
new material.
So how far into this run with Ralphie was the Vegas shooting?
Oh, I wouldn't say. Well, I mean, Ralphie had the residency at Harrah's that year, so I think it was like January or February when it first started, and then the shooting was in October.
Okay.
So
but you were doing spots in front of him.
yeah.
At Harrah's that whole year.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
and working with him.
Yeah.
It was gonna. I joined him up with them that September, because I was like I said, I would always hang out with them and the twins in Vegas. But as far as like us, where it was gonna be my slot
Right,
was gonna
right,
start
right.
that weekend actually.
Oh, man.
So So I was always around. But as far as like me exclusively, like this is it. Like this is are gonna be the run. And
Right.
it was like the first 2 weeks.
And then there's a fucking tragedy week one. And Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, like like I said, I still have his text messages. I still, it's hard sometimes. It's like, I did it, I made it.
Yeah.
As a comedian,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, we did it. We
Bro,
all that hard
I
work.
completely know that feeling
Yeah.
where you think like, all right, this is it. Like,
Yeah.
and you did do it.
Yeah.
But then what you think is going to happen afterwards
Yeah.
does not
No,
happen dude,
yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
dude.
And Ralph
Yeah.
feels like, I'm gonna take
Yeah.
care of you. I'm gonna get you a house just like this. We're gonna be, doing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's do it, dude.
And
Let's
that
do
goes
it.
right in your head.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
ready to post on my Facebook. Everyone suck it. I made
Yeah,
it. Like
right?
I was all that
Yeah.
shit. And then Friday morning happened.
Yeah.
So then we went to bed, and then woke up. I got a text from his manager, and he goes, "Hey, it was I felt like around 9. I think, I'm gonna take a jog. I went for a jog, and then I got a text from. I came back, got a text from his manager saying, "Hey, he has what do you call it? He has an interview at 9:45, and just wake him up, get him ready." I was like, "Cool."
And it should be said, like for those that don't know who Ralphie May is, I mean, he's a pretty well-known guy, but he's a heavy guy,
Big dude.
big guy.
Yeah.
So at the time, he's how big would you say he was? Like
After
400?
the autopsy said, I think he weighed. It's funny because he always said that he weighed like I'm like 450. He weighed like almost 650.
Oh,
I think.
wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and right away I'm like that lying motherfucker. Like I knew it.
Hadn't he just like lost weight though?
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
it's he was on The Biggest Loser for a while.
Yeah.
He weighed almost like 800 pounds at one
Yeah,
point.
that's what I read.
right, yeah.
So
But he had weighed 800.
Yeah,
and he got that
damn.
gastric bypass.
yeah,
and-
twice.
And he was
First time I
still
think it broke.
touring like that big.
He was a road. He was
Yeah,
dude, he was a
dude.
road dog, dude.
Yeah, like seriously, he was doing all kinds of shows,
And,
dude, just traveling.
And and I'm sure there was a lot of wear and tear that that didn't
of
help,
course, yeah.
especially with Ralph and his size.
Yeah.
Because he did have he was battling walking pneumonia the week before. So actually the month before is when we had a lot of it.
Shit.
Yeah, but I mean Ralphie was like I said he was that's where we related to because all we wanted to do was stand up and that was it and that's what all he did too.
Yeah.
So-
See, and that's another thing to note too. Like Ralphie's one of those big ass headliners who made it from just doing stand up.
Yeah.
Like there's no Ralphie May sitcom, there's no movies, no cartoon.
Yeah.
Nothing like this. He just goes on stage and kills.
Did you know
and
him?
People
Or
love him.
did you ever meet
No,
him?
I never got to. No, well,
Me neither.
I don't remember if I met him. I don't think I met him. No.
No.
By all
No,
accounts,
I don't
dude,
think I ever
like
did.
anybody you hear, like even like I listen to Rogan and stuff, like all
Yeah.
the guys he has on, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anybody you hear talk about Ralphie May, all they say is what a sweetheart. The guy was.
nicest, and I say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nicest, the most caring, loving, awesome dude. And that's where he had a great heart, and that's where we like connected too, because he watched over me, I watched over him, and that's how we kind of just like, all right, we got each other's backs, kind of thing. Like, let's do this. That was
Yeah.
like the bond that we had.
Yeah, that's
and I was
great.
like, I was just so excited to get this started. Yeah, and then that Friday morning, so when I went to go check, I knocked on the door, and so like I said, he was sick before. there's time the week before when he was really sick. He had trouble breathing, of course, and I remembered I like literally would just go in the room and just make sure he was breathing, just because he was such a big guy, you know, he was laid down. So I was just making sure his body was going up and down. I was like, okay, he's breathing. So that's how bad he got.
The other thing people don't realize too is that like when you're big like that, you know, there's a lot in there. Like your organs get oversized, stuff like that. Your intestines, there's a lot in there. So when you lay flat, you know, a lot of times that pushes up on your diaphragm. It makes it even more difficult to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And that's why you get people like, you know, not only that, but you also get like, and I'm not saying that Ralphie had this, but you know, sleep apnea and stuff like that. You get a fat tongue, stuff like that falls back in your throat. All that stuff contributes to.
Shit, I get that.
Yeah. I've been told I cough or I choke, I die, and I come back.
I freak people out. Wake up.
So I was like always checking on him. So that's why I kind of like but like I said, that day before he was doing so much better, almost back to full like 100%. That's why we kind of let our guard down. So when I walked in his room, I saw him on the floor, and I instantly thought maybe he just like fell asleep sitting up and just toppled over. That's what I assumed. I'm like, oh fuck, Ralph, you okay? And I'm like talking to him, and I grab him, and he was stone cold. I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, Ralph, and I just try waking him up, and he wasn't waking up. And I was just like, fuck. And I swear to God, I just, the biggest jolt of, adrenaline, I just, everything, like, I just remember I felt it. I remember running out of the room so fast, I slipped. I remember that. I ate it so hard, I ran so fast. I think I slipped on a rug.
This is in his bedroom, living room?
Yeah. It was at the house we were staying.
Okay.
Yeah, we were, it was a house we were staying at. And I go in there, and I slipped, and I immediately grab my phone. And I'm just thinking, I got to call 911. So I start calling 911. And then, right away they start telling me, I know you guys have the phone call. So I can't remember word for word. This is just off memory.
Play it?
Do you want to play it?
Yeah, let's play it. Yeah. And I'll critique.
So this is the actual 911 call from that day, October 6, 2017, after you found Ralphie. And I'll go ahead and play it now.
Friday, October 6, 2017.
911 emergency. Call 6323. Do you need fire, police, or medical?
Medical!
Let me get him on the line just a moment.
That's a lot of panic in my voice.
Yeah, man.
You have reached the fire department. All of our operators are currently busy. Please hold the line for the next available.
Oh, that's gotta
Ma'am,
suck.
stay on the line until they pick up, okay? Do not hang up.
Oh my God, yes.
Fire medical, what's the address of the emergency?
Oh my God. My friend passed on the floor.
You gotta tell me the address so I can help you.
It's place.
Okay. Can't understand what you're saying the street is. Okay, Green, hold on. I want to make sure we're coming to the right place to help you, okay? And I'm going to give you instructions also. So is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Okay. And what's your name?
My name is...
And what's the phone number you're calling from?
And at this point, are you kind of just standing there?
I was pacing
tell me
a
exactly
lot.
what happened.
I just remember going back and forth.
I just walked in on my friend. His name is... He's a comedian. I just walked in on him because he had an interview in 8 minutes. And I checked on him, and he passed on the floor.
No, he was
and
on
he hit his head on the closet door.
face down.
I've been trying to wake him up. The guy's 400.
Okay, I understand. I'm going to help you. I'm going to start help for you. I need you to take a deep breath so you can follow my instructions, okay? Are you with him now?
Yes.
Okay, how old is
45, 44. I believe it's 44.
Okay, is he awake?
No, he's not.
Is he breathing?
I can't tell. I don't think so.
Okay.
He's cold.
All right. I'm going to send someone to help you right now, okay? If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now.
Okay.
Okay? Are you right by him now?
Yes.
I need you to lay him flat on his back, on the ground, remove any pillows. Do it now.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
It's going to be me yelling a lot.
Yeah. Was it just impossible to do that?
Dude. Yeah, I was going to say, well, let's talk about this. Because, so that during that part, I remember, because so this is where I always wanted, like I said, we're talking about writing new material. I've been trying to talk about this on stage. Certain comics talk about, deaths. And I wanted to talk about this. But yeah, because right away when she said, "Can you turn him over?" I literally laid down. I went,
"Lady, yeah, you come turn him over."
That's the reason why I said his name, because I want you to know what I'm working with.
Right.
But yeah, I remember I was like, fuck, how do I do this? And I did, growing up in high school, I did like 10 years of judo. Yeah. So, it's judo's all about grappling and trying to flip people over.
Somebody's weight.
Yeah, so like right away, I'm like, oh shit. And I literally went out like, judo. So, my left leg on his left side of his body, and I put his shoulder underneath my armpit. So I just kind of like in an arm bar. I didn't want to hurt him because I didn't know how bad it was. But I just remember like trying to flip him over. And man, it took forever just trying to do that, just dead weight. Yeah. So many positions, so many times, just literally just trying to flip him over. And then I do remember when I finally flipped him over. Can you play it again? I want to see if you can hear me go, ah, because his whole body landed on my leg.
I think I remember that.
That's so small. Sorry, come on.
Can you hear me? Am I on speakerphone?
Yes, I'm on speakerphone.
Okay, tell me when he's flat on his back on the ground.
Hi.
You're doing a good job. Keep going.
Was he in his bedroom?
Yeah, he was in his bedroom. Very small bedroom too.
Yeah, that's tough to do, man. In a tight spot.
I remember she said that. You hear me throwing the mattress. I lift the mattress.
Is he on his back? Listen to me. Were you able to get him to his back, yes or no?
No, I'm not.
Okay, keep trying. Pull him by his feet. If he's on a blanket, use the blanket.
The funny part is when she tells me to go next door. You keep playing.
Over.
It should be coming up.
He's on 80.
Anchor yourself maybe against the wall and maybe use your feet. Do whatever you can to get him to his back.
All right. Okay. Come on, brother. Come on.
Man.
Yeah. It's tough to do, man, dude. Dead weight is a bit huge.
Right away, I'm going, fucking Ralphie, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You're like, even after death, you're fucking busting my balls.
You're doing good. You're doing the best you can.
It's almost like it made sense why he had Corey and Chad before, too, because it's two big guys.
Can you knock on somebody else's door and get help? Or are you able to do it?
I'm curious if they left this in, because I don't know if they have the...
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you do it by yourself or maybe go ask for help? Can you knock on somebody's door?
I need help.
Okay, go knock on somebody else's door and see if they can help you turn him over.
It's in a gated community.
Okay, so there's nobody nearby that can help you?
I'm Mexican. Nobody's going to open the door.
I'm wondering if they're going to play this
part. Again, you're doing good. Just keep...
Friday, October 6th, 2017, 12:08 and 45 seconds.
Metro Police, Story 15970.
Hey, it's Kyle over fire.
Hi.
Hey, you could join us for a call, please?
Sure. What's the address?
If I can spell that for you.
Please.
That was probably after.
Oh, looks like we have a call. Hold on one second. Is it a 419?
Yeah, it's going to be 419 now.
Okay, hold on.
Well, maybe the phone disconnected. I think that's what happened.
We have event number...
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think that's it.
Friday.
That was it. Okay, so when she told me to go next door, I go next door. I walk outside in a panic, and I remember there was a pickup truck, or not even an off-road truck. It had Monster energy drink stickers on it. You know, your typical, douchebag kind of.
Suburban Vegas.
Yeah. It was raised, whatever, F-150, whatever, all these stickers and shit. Like, okay, that guy's gotta have muscles and like.
He's already pumped up.
He's like ready to go.
He's already got 4 monsters in him.
Yeah, he's drinking Mountain Dew, you know. I'm like, okay, here we go. So I knock on the door, and it's this little old lady that answers the door.
Dude.
And I go, like, I'm kind of speechless. And she goes, "Can I help you?" I was like,
she's like, "What do you need, brother?"
Yeah, what's up, bro? Of course, bro, I can help you. Yeah, no. Right away, I was like, absolutely not. Do you have anybody that's like, not you, but taller, stronger, maybe a guy? No. She goes, "Oh, I can see it." I was like, "My friend passed out. I need to flip him over." And then she goes, "Oh, I could see if my husband can help." I'm like, "No, that's not gonna happen." And it's this old dude that comes out and he goes, "Oh, let me just put some clothes on," and he was in his boxers, and I was just like, "Oh my god, they're just probably just fucking or something." I don't know what, because she was like in a nightie kind of, but like it was kind of early in the morning, and it was this old couple. Yeah. But I remember I was like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" Like where's this guy that drives this truck? I know no one of you motherfuckers know. Like, there's no way.
Parked across the street.
yeah, you dick, you tricked me. So then after that, I went back, and then that's when I finally like flipped him over, and then he landed on my leg, and I just remember like the eternal struggle of trying to get his body off my leg because it probably it was from my knee. Since I had him in that since I flipped him over.
So that wound up working?
Yeah, it worked. Wow. Yeah, that was the part when it kicked in finally because I was just trying to push him over.
You hadn't tried to do judo shit before.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was literally trying to pick him up and lift
leverage.
him up. Yeah, like
nothing to really grab onto either.
Yeah, and I'm like, fuck, how do I do
tight
it?
Space.
Yeah, and that's why it dawned on me when she goes, use the wall. I was like, oh, you're right. And that's when I flipped the mattress over and did all that stuff. But it wasn't until then. Then I had the space. So I was like, okay, cool. And that's when I went in there at his arm, and I was just like, fuck, I don't want to break it. And I was like, fuck it. I was just, just in case. And then right when I flipped him over, simultaneously, I see his face completely purple and blue, and then
you hadn't really seen his face.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
He was
face down. Yeah. And then that's when his whole body was on my leg, and I'm like, I went from trying to get him over to get him off me kind of, and that's when the paramedics showed up. They heard me they're hello, and I was like, I'm in here, and I got up, and then they walked in, and they just he's in there, and I'm just in the hallway. And I just remember they just walked right out. They went, your friend's gone. Like, I'm sorry to tell you this. He just went up to me. I'm sorry to tell you this, but your friend's gone. He's like, he's been gone for a long time. Yeah. I was just like, you gotta be. I was like, no. And I figured that. I accepted it, but at the same time, I was still in denial. Because we just had this conversation the night before, and a future and a plan, and I was just like, what the fuck? And my best friend, one of my best friends in comedy, and that was the hard part. Where I remember I just sat down. And they thought I was gonna pass out. I was like, no, I just need to sit. And and then that's when the other people that lived there, called me, and I had to tell them. And I just remember the funny. I guess the one part. I remember they sent the crisis not therapist.
Yeah. Crisis intervention.
Yeah, something
team
like that.
or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she goes, she goes, you don't have to talk to me. You just have to, I'll just sit next to you, and you could do what you want. You don't have to talk to me. You could, whenever you're ready. I was like, all right. And she's like, so did you know him long? I'm like,
dude. He said I didn't have to talk.
So after they called him and they told you, that's kind of like when everything just hit you, like you sat down and you're like, shit.
Yeah, that's he's gone. Yeah, he's gone. It was just literally when they walked in, they walked right out. They're like, they just,
and that's usually how 814s go. And when I say 814, that's when we are allowed to determine that somebody's died, right?
Yeah,
only
you don't have to work on them. You don't have to bring them in.
Yeah, we can look at them. There's a couple things we check to make sure, and then we can just say
5 criteria that you have to check off.
So that things like if somebody's incinerated, if they've got brain matter showing, part of their heart, lung showing, but other things are if somebody has rigor mortis that's set in, because that only starts after you've been gone for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
The pool.
Or if you have something called postmortem lividity, which is probably what you saw when you flipped him over.
His face.
So once you pass away and you're laying, all the dependent parts of your body, all your blood will start to pool, because your blood gets circulated because your muscles are squeezing.
Wherever
blood out of the
gravity's
muscles
pulling, basically, is going to pool blood.
Your heart is pumping blood through. Once all that stuff stops, it's just like a bottle of water. Everything's going to settle with gravity at the bottom. So when we get an 814, when we get somebody that's cardiac arrest, we'll get right, and then it'll say in the notes, it hasn't been seen for 4 days or something like that. Back of your head, you're thinking, okay, well, this might be an 814.
Yeah.
And usually, whoever found the person is, because they'll give instructions, just like the person on the 911 dispatcher on the phone. They'll give you instructions once you get them flipped over, how to start CPR and all that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, we'll get there and people are still working on this person, and we walk in, and when you see enough, you kind of know right off the bat.
Yeah.
And there's certain things we check, like if some, for rigor mortis and postmortem lividity, we have to sit and listen to their heart with our stethoscope for 30 seconds, and listen to see if we hear anything. Coming from there. We also check their neuro response. We'll give them a painful stimuli, see if they tweak at all. We'll look at their pupils to see if they react to light at all. Those are all neurological things that tell us that they're too far gone. There's nothing we can do, you know. And then there's talking to the family or friend or whoever found the person. Like, it's one of the shittiest parts about my job, is having to walk into that living room. Because also, I'm sure you felt this too, you have something, an emergency like that happen, where your friend or your family member's life is hanging in the balance. You know, you're trying to figure out what you can do.
Yeah.
You're trying to listen to this. It's a real hectic thing. And then, boom, you hear the sirens. It's like, oh, shit, they're here.
Yeah, it's relief.
And then they come in and you're like, fuck yes, they got the medicine. They got that. And they just walked out.
And they just, nothing you can do.
And there's just nothing they can do.
It's over.
And then that's probably when it, really sinks in that, holy shit, this is real. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, just kind of, just going back to that. Yeah. I do remember that you mentioned that, because I remember it was in rigor mortis because, I guess they said, because, I just noticed his hand. I was like, no, I didn't. I just, everything was just a scramble. And he goes, oh, yeah. I was like, he probably died like 6 or 7 a.m. He's like, maybe even earlier than that, but he's been gone for at least a good 6, maybe 5 hours or something like that. Yeah. And that's why I was just like, shit. Like, he went out without us even hearing. We were sound asleep. Nothing we could have done. So that was one part. I was just like, I shouldn't have gone jogging. Nah. I should have stayed home. I should have checked
that
them.
You were in the house.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's you got that guilt first. I just remember he wanted to go swimming, and I was like, the pool was there, and I was like, fuck, like he wanted to go swimming. I was like, we're gonna go get trunks and party all day and hang out and start this new chapter in our lives, and that was it. And so that's. And but even like I said, with comedians, we always try to find the funny in everything, and that was my thing. Was trying to, how do I turn this or just to cope with it? With trauma, which I'm sure both you guys can understand. You can't fix it. You don't stop living in it. You just learn to live with it, and then you can keep going. So this was like I was doing so good, and I'm like, oh shit, I thought I was gonna have a fucking breakdown listening to myself, and it's just more of like, oh shit, I'm listening to the past. Right. Like I remember that happened. That was very therapeutic. So thank you. It
was a moment, and now you're in this moment.
Yeah. So it was almost like, man, like is that how I sounded back then? Yeah, it was like almost 3 years ago. But I like right off then, it's just like, wow, that was I've aged since then and experienced and dealing with it, and it was kind of very therapeutic just even listening to that.
Yeah, thanks for doing it, man.
Thank you guys. Man. Yeah.
And another thing too, like you were saying, like to try to like find the funny in something. You were already in that process when this happened because you were starting a tour off on the Vegas shooting, and you're in Vegas doing a residency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And another thing too, like to get a residency in Vegas as a comic, that's fucking huge, dude. It's like the best, dude. Like you can live in the hotel. Like it was Edwin San Juan had one for years. Yeah. And he could pick guys to take like for a week. And you just get to live at Planet Hollywood for a week with him. Free meals. You have a fucking sold out show every night, or 2 every night. And that was it. And he just traded off guys. Hey, you come with me this week. You come with me this week. You know what I mean? I was on homies with him. Like that.
He was sharing a dressing room with the Righteous Brothers, so they were sharing the theater. It's so
wild.
Hey, what's up, brother?
They had so many cases of pineapple juice for some reason. That was
the Righteous Brothers.
The Righteous Brothers.
They believe in the pineapple juice thing, right? They're like, hey, girl, you're gonna find out why we have this pineapple juice.
So that's why you're righteous.
Yeah, right. But rivers flow.
Yeah, and I stole so many of them because I like Surfer on Acids, which is Jaeger, pineapple juice, and Malibu rum. So I was stealing because of Ralphie. You never heard of that?
I'm in a drink.
Yeah,
I gotta try it.
Surfer on Acid, Jägermeister, pineapple juice, and Malibu rum.
Yeah, I can't drink Jägermeister, dude.
Oh no,
dude! I'll be staring at the corner, dude. You don't imagine the things that I have slept through after Jägermeister.
Oh, see that fires me up. Man. That turns me into a Spic Flair, as I'm known as.
Dude. Bro.
But yeah, it's the one joke I always try to talk about on stage regarding this. Which buddy of mine, because I was like, dude, I need to make this. Like, how do I start picking at it? With still, like talking about it. And we came up with there were 2 lives lost that day, Ralphie May's and my comedy career. And that was, and I was like, that's perfect. I was like, but every time I said it, people just go, oh, I'm like, no, you gotta laugh.
I was thinking that when you were saying this whole thing, dude. This poor fucking guy.
Yeah. I know right away. And I don't want to make it seem like it's all I wanted Ralphie for. Like, no, I enjoyed it. Of course not.
But it also after the fact though, like you get to lament for a second. Like, fuck.
Yeah, dude. It's like like a hot chick marrying an old guy. Yeah. You know what you're getting. You know, and then when he guys, you're like, ooh, you wipe your tear with the $1 or with the $100 bill. But with Ralph, man, I mean, like I said, if I could bring him back, I would give up anything just to have him back. He's that much of a solid dude.
That probably makes it even harder to come out with comedy about it too, because him being so loved and him being so entrenched in like the comedy world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
From LA to Vegas.
Oh yeah, it really sucks the audience in. Like as soon as you start talking about him, people go, "Oh shit, yeah." And I have a tattoo of him. Like I kept them. I have him right here on my right arm. I don't know if you guys can see that, but which is funny because someone pointed out, they're like, "Do you jerk off with your right arm?" I was like, "I do," and they're like, Ralphie can see it. I'm like, I was like, "That's what you get, motherfucker."
Right on, brother. Go for it, brother.
Get him, Marky, get him.
I think it's good to like hear your 911 call too. Like we anticipate some like firefighters and paramedics listening to this show.
Yeah,
and I've said it before on here. Not all firefighter paramedics are built the same. You know what I mean? Like some guys come in, like if I've had 3 or 4 of this similar call, and I'm pulling up to this chest pain, the 5th chest pain in a day, and it turns out to be an 814, I might come in with kind of a shitty attitude about it to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like sometimes they've given us training in the past where they've played 911 calls, about these like jacked up incidents, just to give you a sense of what's happening before you show up on scene.
It's crazy that you say that because I kind of felt in a weird way like that I was prepared for that moment because I was with my grandpa when he died on his deathbed. I was with my grandma when she died on her deathbed. I was with my cousin when he was dead when we pulled the plug. And then my uncles, I've been around death and bodies, lifeless bodies, like ever since I was a kid, really.
Yeah.
So this situation, it was more of the shock of just finding him because I didn't expect that.
It was sudden.
Yeah, no, so sudden, of course, tragedy. Yeah. But like being around a body or being like I could take it, and like the other people that we were with, that the owners of the house, I don't know if they could, personally, but I'm glad it was me because I could take it. I'm fine. Like I'm good.
Yeah, that's good, man.
And that was the one thing. That's why I give you guys. It's like you guys got to do this all the time, and I'm sure you get
I think it's important for like people to realize that there is a whole event that happened before we show up too. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And you have to keep that in mind and remember, even when you show up to something where there isn't a death involved, that it's like a serious, like crazy event that's happening for this person. So even if they show up to you all excited and worked up, and like I can't even tell you how many times I have to tell people, hey, first of all, who called 911? Because you'll get 5 or 6 people trying to tell you a story. Who called 911? I did. Okay. Stop for a second, take a deep breath, start from the very beginning and tell me exactly what happened. You know what I mean? So I can get a sense of, because let's say you would have rolled him over and he had something in his mouth and you popped it out. Now he's breathing a little bit, and I show up and he's breathing and talking, and I don't feel the whole, I don't feel the whole incident before that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's important, and I really appreciate you allowing us to play that audio, because it really gives everybody a sense of just how much can happen in the 5 minutes from when you call 911 to when we actually get there. How much the people that are calling go through, and you have to give that a certain amount of respect when you show up on scene and appreciate the fact that they're just going through this crazy ass thing that we go through 10 times a day, but he doesn't. Let me let him catch himself. You know what I mean? And go through this.
Also, how significant it is to that person, even if they're just not even just the hands-on, working up, knocking on doors, trying to get help, but the event to you, like what he meant to you, you know what I mean? Like, all that stuff.
Going on through that. And then the one thing that it just dawned on me too is when, literally minutes after the paramedics showed up, I got all these calls and text messages of, "Hey, I'm sorry to hear." I'm like, how did this work? I'm like, fuck, I said his name on the 911 call, which I did. So and then one of the sheriffs that showed up like right after that goes, "Yeah, unfortunately we have some 911 operators with that," and someone said they heard it on a radio station in Arizona, but TMZ hit us up like right away, and I didn't want to say it because to me it's like, no, like this isn't theirs to tell or share. This is mine, or and that's why I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I let me cope with it first, and then like when I'm ready, I'm ready. So that's why nobody really knew about this either. But that was the crazy part, that literally minutes, it was on TMZ.
That's how fast it goes, dude.
Yeah.
That's how fast it goes. And leaks everywhere. And there's people that
You've
just
had
scan.
stuff like that already on runs too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And that people that scan, I've responded to, I've worked on some famous people in my years. And dude, before we get back to the station, it's out.
Yeah, it's already out.
I ran on Kanye West's mom when she passed away in Westchester. Worked on her for a while. Transported her and everything. By the time by the next day, my run report was out on the internet.
Whoa!
Yeah, how about that, dude?
What the?
So next day, you know, there's leaks. Not even, you know, I mean, you talk about dispatches, but the hospitals like that stuff happens, dude.
You never know, dude.
Yeah, man. Well, shoot. Thank you so much for coming in and for talking about it, brother.
Appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Let them know where they can follow you, dude.
Follow me Instagram, Twitter at Gonzo, Gonsso. I think gonzo.com's still up. Gonsso. Don't misspell that because it's a different website.
All right, and your podcast?
You will be surprised.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And shocked.
Yeah. I didn't know it was a subcategory. Yeah, and Fear LA up in the rafters, available on iTunes. You can check that out. And follow me on everything.
Right on.
Oh, brother.
Danny, where can they follow you?
Follow me on at Danny Gonzo34 on Instagram and Twitter.
Double Gonzo handles on this
episode.
That's with a Z, by the way.
Well, you know.
I have an S in there.
Yes, sir. You can follow me at Ben9Humor, Ben number 9 Humor, like benign tumor. Follow the podcast at PRC Pod. Watch us on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And find other ways to send us money or something. I don't know.
Also, as always, the opinions expressed here are our own. They do not reflect those of the Los Angeles City Fire Department or the LA County Department of Health.
All right. Thank you, Nolan Culliver, MD. And we're out.
Thank you.
Thanks.